only got 1 year left, so if he doesn't enjoy Toronto, don't rule out retirement. Time now to check in the overall key additions and key losses. Well, we spoke already of Ramirez, Young, Guillen, and Wakefield. Makoto Miyagi is another player coming over from Detroit. He's been a very successful pitcher there over the last 4 years. He's made one All-Star appearance and promises to be solid. I see him as the most likely set-up man to Jason Fraser. Last year, the catcher Michael Barrett received tremendous amounts of criticism for not being able to fire guys out at second. It cost the Blue Jays for sure, and Epstein made a late January move to get Arizona prospect Ben Peters, who has a hell of an arm. It'll be exciting to see him and his fielding talent in the spring. And lastly, Tom Anderson, a big 24-year-old prospect that the Blue Jays got hold of against lots of competition. He could be the next big hitter, and there will be more to talk about him come spring training. In terms of losses, well, Alex Rios, who was very good at the beginning of last year but declined after that, he was the one traded away for Aramis Ramirez. Rios is a promising player, but with the way Epstein carries forth his business, I don't think Toronto will miss him. Ryan Franklin was never too stable with Toronto, and the Blue Jays have gladly replaced him with Wakefield. Other names on that list are players that the Blue Jays needed to get rid of, really. Hill never did too much. Mensch couldn't match up his 2009 numbers. Catalanado, after his injury, did nothing. Brendan League is a big loss, though. He was a good hard thrower in the bullpen, but at the same time, the Blue Jays have replaced him with seemingly better talent. Take a look at the projected lineup. How about Overbay as a leadoff hitter? That's not something we saw last year, but I've always argued in favor of it. He led the team in on-base percentage last year. He got on regularly. He scored runs. He took walks. He, in my mind, is the perfect man to start the spark. Then Delman Young, who can hit for average, followed by hopefully a better performing Rowan this year. Last year was a bit of an off year for him. If he can regain his form, he could do damage in the number 3 spot. Ramirez is a consistent power in the cleanup spot, then more power in Barrett, followed by a mix of power and RBIs, Carlos Guillen. De Jesus did a nice job out of the 7th spot last year, so I can imagine he'll stay there. As for Preston Wilson, moving down the lineup as a number 8 power provider is something that is familiar to Epstein's strategy, and then the speed of Sean Figgins at the bottom that can be then followed by Overbay. Walker will probably share the second base job again with Figgins, depending on performance. On the bench, Adam Almanza just signed an extension, but he wants Major League playing time. The spring will be a big test for him, but I can see him as getting a fair amount of backup playing time. And David Newhan, after he had not that bad a year last year as a starting third baseman, he agreed to re-sign even as a backup player because he much enjoyed his time in Toronto, and he's a real solid guy coming off the bench, a dependable bat. Rotation-wise, Chacin is the ace undoubtedly, considering his amazing ace-like performance last year. Then Tankersley, who got 17 wins, then Day, and then Glover. Glover comes in only in the number 4 spot because I doubt he'll be able to repeat last year's performance, to be honest with you. I think he also has lost some of his reputation by playing poorly in the playoffs. And then in the number 5 spot, Tim Wakefield. The bullpen looks real strong with Hasegawa, Santos, Fraser, and Miyagi as the leaders of the staff. Sean Kemp returns. He was quite good last year, and the likes of Scott Downs bring on more veteranship. Tim Prince will probably be tested in spring training and could make a regular bullpen appearance. And finally, to close it up, we can ask each other these questions. Competition in the AL East. I think it can only toughen with the Red Sox getting a huge pitching boost with Al Leiter and Matsuzaka. The Orioles, though, seem to be declining a little bit, but still, if the Red Sox are hot, Mike Scioscia delivers for Baltimore, it could be real challenging for Toronto to compete. The pitching was outstanding last year. You feel like saying it was lucky. Jim Cott, the pitching coach, will have to bring the winning formula back. Bigger names means a ring. In my mind, yes, the presence of Young, Guillen, and Ramirez especially can really up the Blue Jays game and maybe get them through that ALCS this time. This is Baseball TV, home of champions.
A real Texan knows a real truck. Introducing the all-new Chevy Silverado Texas Edition, the 2007 Motor Trend Truck of the Year.
This is